All right, welcome back, Sooner fans, to the Sooner Surge. This is our full podcast after Week 4 victory. OU beats Cincinnati 20-6, first true road game. Before we get started, make sure you hit the subscribe button, be a part of what's going on at the Sooner Surge. Turn your notification on so you can be notified for videos as we release them. And yeah, drop your questions, comments in the chat. We'll be asking questions throughout this video. I would love your comments. So, guys, we heard the talk all week about 3-0 last year compared to 3-0 this year. Well, they're 4-0 now. They're not 3-1. So I think let's put that to rest. These are two totally different teams from last year to this year. I think that's pretty safe to say in the way they play and especially defensively.
Yeah, the Brent Venables defense is back. This looks like your textbook Brent Venables defense. Danny Stutzman is the best linebacker in the country, and it's not even close. If they gave out the Butkus Award after 4 weeks, he would be returning to Norman with it. The defense won the game for them today. To hold Cincinnati to 6 points on the road is impressive. The offense was not clicking. They were not executing. Great game drawn up by Jeff Levy, but the execution just was not there for Dylan Gabriel in the offense. But the defense had their back.
Yeah, and I think defensively, man, you saw it all, really. I mean, you saw Oklahoma. I think I talked about on the pregame show we had that they needed to be gap sound, that they didn't need to rush up past the quarterback a lot. They didn't. They were able to keep Emory Jones for the majority of the game really contained in the pocket, and Oklahoma had a lot of success because Emory Jones, he wants to get out on the perimeter, create stuff with his legs, whether that's take the deep shot whenever he's outside the pocket, or be able to use his legs to run for first downs. So it was kind of just like something that was very good for the defense. And Stutzman, man, that dude deserves the Butkus Award. I don't care what anyone says. He's the best linebacker in the country.
I mean, if it was now, but we got a whole 2/3.
Still got a whole another part of the season left.
Yeah,
I agree.
That's when he's playing out of his mind. And before Jaron Canek got hurt, he was playing a great game too. So, I feel like Oklahoma, too, in the open field, the first half they tackled very well. The second half, it was inconsistent tackling in the open field. I felt like they gave up some plays that probably should have been limited to 4 or 5 yards that ended up going for first downs because of missed tackles. And offensively, it was just super up and down in the first half. They couldn't run the ball in the second half. Whenever they were able to run the ball, it was a lot of flags and stuff. So, and just throwing the ball, a lot of overthrows again. Same issues as last year from Dylan Gabriel, man. It was just, I feel like, and obviously the pass protection at times was not the best, too. I will give them the Cincinnati defensive line credit for that. But overall, offensively, Oklahoma needs to be much more consistent and be able to maintain drives a lot better.
Yeah, I mean, 20 points is not – 10 points in the first half is not going to cut it. DG's got to make the throw to Farouk, got to give him a chance. You got to force feed Nick Anderson the ball. I know he had the touchdown. Give it to him even more. He needs the ball more. Got to figure out what is going on at running back. I mean, now Major and Tawee Walker, I'll give both of them their credit. They both look really well today. But the Javante Barnes and Gavin Sawchuk I watched in the Cheez-It Bowl, why are they not on the field? It's a serious question. And first of all, Tawee Walker, he played really good. And I think he's someone Oklahoma should use, but he's not a feature back. Marcus Major played really well. I don't even think he's someone who you can hand 20 carries to a game. So they need to figure out where Barnes and Sawchuk are. It's crazy. I think the roles have been reversed. I mean, coming into the season, we were all concerned about wide receiver room, and we were thinking the running back, no concerns. And now I feel like it's reversed.
Well, I disagree with you on one aspect, and that's I do think Marcus Major could be a 20-carry guy, and I think Tawee Walker could be too. I think they're decent running backs, but
yes, but what I'm saying is you got to get Barnes and Sawchuk in the game.
You got to get Barnes and Sawchuk in the game. I agree, but listening to the Levy's post-game presser, it sounds like they're going off week by week on practice and who's practicing the best, and that's who's going to get the playing time, and that's what it sounds like to me they're going to do.
If that's
Levy
the case,
pretty much said that.
If that's the case, then yeah, play Major and Walker every single snap. to me, it's just when you see someone play as well as they played in the Cheez-It Bowl with Barnes and Sawchuk, I would like to see them out there because I think Sawchuk can do a lot in the passing game, can do a lot. But Major played well. Major played really well. Once he got in space, and I think part of the reason –
I thought Tawee played well.
Tawee also played really well. Both of them played well. So in the offensive line, they got to figure that out. Troy Everett did not look good. Hopefully Savion Bird is back next week. But then again, they were playing against a very good Cincinnati defensive line. So.
I'm a little shocked that we didn't see any Caden Green. I expected
it wasn't until like the fourth quarter.
That's what I'm getting at. Like I expected it. Okay, if Troy Everett's getting the start, it's for pass protection. Just he's a little better than Caden Green. Caden Green's a freshman that, I mean, it was, I think he said it. I don't remember who he said it to, but that last week Bill Bedenbaugh called him in about moving to guard. So it's an adjustment for him to start playing guard. So it's somewhat understandable for him not to get the start. I expected him to still get a good amount of run. I was shocked that it was pretty much Troy Everett most of the game.
It had to have been because just being on the road, I think. And, Troy Everett's got some experience. So I think that maybe that's what they were going with. Bedenbaugh loves the guys that have played and have experience. Yeah. But I agree. Caden Green's just way more physical than Troy Everett. I mean,
Caden Green looked really, really good against Tulsa when he came in after
I agree.
Got hurt.
I agree. Go ahead, Jackson.
Oh, I was going to say, also, I felt like Andrew Rame, his timing was off with Gabriel or something. Because there's a couple of times where it's like he would snap the ball too early. He would snap the ball before someone was set. He didn't snap the ball.
Probably the noise.
It's the crowd, bro.
Yes, yeah, I know. But I feel like with how experienced Andrew Rame is, those things, like I feel like he can clean up. But I feel like in the run game, they just weren't getting enough push. It's been the same issues all year. They can't hit the explosive play, which – also, I don't understand why, they try. I feel like some stuff that's too complicated in the run game. Like you would see it at times where they would just get a body on a body. They would have so much more success instead of trying to have a guard pool or a tackle pool, or if guys just climb to the second level after holding the block for half a second. Just simplify everything. Just allow the holes to open up. Just allow a natural flow in the zone run game.
You guys know what I don't understand.
You want to know what I don't understand? I don't understand Austin Stogner on the field every single play. No hate to Stogner. I like him, but I don't see it.
I've been the same way, Brody, but today he was starting to get blocking down.
He was blocking better.
Noticeably better when he was having to block.
Maybe I just didn't see it.
I was in the same thing. Then later on in the game, I was like, okay, that was a good block by Stog.
Good.
I think it was a Dylan Gabriel keeper that he had a nice block on. The good thing on the run game struggles, if we want to try to take a positive from it, it's a really good front in Cincinnati that they went against. That's going to be really good film to use for the coming weeks. I mean, you got Texas in 2 weeks, which, again, that doesn't matter for a week. You have to play Iowa State first. You got to win that game before you have to think about Texas. But it's good to have a team like Cincinnati that has a really good defensive front, have them on film so you can kind of Coach Bedenbaugh is one of the best when it comes to watching film to figure out what you need to improve on. Back to Nick Anderson. I don't remember who said it. Someone did on Twitter.
Yeah, I did.
He's the new Lee Morris. He has 4 touchdowns on 8 receptions this year. Crazy.
That was spoon.
The production that he has is he's going to be special the more he gets settled into this offense.
And you want to know who else is special? Andrell Anthony.
Oh, man, get him the ball all the time. That catch he had on the sideline, I mean, you see the plays that Marvin Mims made. That was kind of a play. It's like what Marvin Mims did. I mean, it was just his ability to track the ball in the air is honestly elite. His speed is elite. His route running is pretty darn good. So, I mean, Andrell Anthony, Jaleel Farouk, Drake Stoops, Gavin Freeman, Nick Anderson, Jaden Gibson. This is a wide receiver core that's deep, and that Emmett Jones has really found what he has there. We've seen it like Jaden Gibson, he's getting probably 20, 25 snaps a game. Now, he may not be getting a lot of targets, but he's on the field. The consistency is there. He's catching the ball when it's thrown his way. And Nick Anderson, that dude is a beast. And I think there's a world in which Anderson leads the whole team in touchdowns at the end of the season. I wouldn't even say that's a shock to most people. Like, he's probably on pace for 9-10 touchdowns, I would say, at this point.
Well, he's on pace right now for 12.
Okay, 12.
Through 4 games. So, back to Angelo Anthony. Michigan must have the best wide receiver core in the country.
Yeah.
I don't know how that guy never played, never got targets at Michigan. I don't get it, like, at all. He's been the best wide receiver on the team. The talent that he has, it's elite. Like, he's an elite playmaker. And you look at his stats at Michigan and you would think otherwise.
Yeah, hey, asking y'all a question here and love for the viewers to comment as well. But they're 4-0 now. OU's 4-0. Great defensive performance today. But if you had to pick the number one thing that is the biggest concern for this team moving forward, and what would that be in your opinion? I'll start with you, Hunter. Just the biggest concern you see to keep this team from getting their goals?
I guess it's just execution on the offensive side of the ball. We've now seen 2 out of the 4 games against the 2 better teams they have played, and Cincinnati being the best, and then SMU not far behind them, where the offense didn't execute. SMU, you can kind of blame some play calling things. Cincinnati today, you can't. The play calling was great. Yeah. That was one of the best play calling performances I have seen from Jeff Lebby since he's been at OU. Everything like that was there. The execution was not. So with how much the defense has improved, I think it's we're starting to fall back on offensive issues.
Yeah, I'll second that. It comes down to offensive execution. And I'm feeling good because you know what wins championships? It's not the offense, it's the defense. Oklahoma's defense won them today's game. So I'd much rather the concern be the execution on the offensive side of the ball compared to the defensive side of the ball. Because I feel pretty confident when I say I think Oklahoma has the dudes to have a very great offense. And, I mean, they struggled today. They put up 20 points, and they could have easily scored 42 if they just would have executed a little bit better. I mean, we could have been going into half up 28-3. So I just like to see the execution on the offense improve. And I think it's kind of a good thing that they had that poor of a day. Now you got it on tape. This is what we need to fix. This is what we need to get better on before we head down to Dallas.
Yeah, I would say that I have to agree with what Hunter and Brody just said, and I feel like a part in the execution that's kind of a key for Oklahoma that they haven't had much success at is they're consistently finding ways to get into 3rd and long, whether that's an unsuccessful first down play or second down play or a penalty. Like, all year, you're not going to be able to rely on constantly getting into 3rd and 7 or 3rd and 10 or whatever it is. Like, you got to have successful plays on first down. Then also the execution part comes down to the blocking in the run game. I feel like that just has not been good. This could be maybe the worst start to a year of run blocking that I remember in a while as an Oklahoma fan. Obviously, I remember, Jay, I'm sure you've seen maybe worse offensive lines. So I'm not saying this is a bad offensive line because I think the ceiling's high, but they're just not playing good right now.
Yeah, but Jackson, you just kind of mentioned the offensive line there in the running game. Take that aside. Keep the running game the way it was today. They still should have scored 42 points. If Dylan Gabriel makes throws that are easy, and I'm gonna go back to something. It has to do with the offense, but guys, we talked about it a lot last year. Some of the same issues that Gabriel had last year kind of came up today. They kind of creeped up, in my opinion, and they are when a guy's wide open, you cannot overthrow him by 30 yards. If you want to underthrow him where he can make a play on it, he's got 15 yards. That one on Fruke had the guy beat so bad, he could have just lobbed it up, let him go get it, and you don't have to make a perfect throw there. And same with Jaden Gibson. He had the guy beat by 7 yards, and he got 6 inches on the cornerback. You can't throw it out of bounds. I mean, you just can't. And both of those, well, one of them, not the Fruke one, but the other one, is probably the biggest concern for me. And that's if and you can tie the O-line into it a little bit. But if Dillon Gabriel gets any type of pressure up the middle, around the edge, whatever it may be, I feel like that's when he's at his worst. And what usually happens is you saw it today and things lucked out our OU's way. But the backwards pass was just, oh, gosh, here comes somebody, chunk it. Or there was a screen they set up with Tawee Walker, and you're supposed to let the guys come through on a screen. And they got too close to him, and he just chunked it into the ground. Just throw it to Tawee. It was probably a 15, 20-yard gain. And that's my biggest concern is that in the game like Texas, he's never played in the Texas game. Will Dillon Gabriel be firing on all cylinders? Or
good question.
And you know what? To me, he had a good game today. It's not great though, but there's going to be a few games. Mark it down. At least 1 or 2 games this year. He is going to have a great game for OU to win, and one of those I think is Texas. And if he does not have a great game against Texas, I think there's a good chance they lose that game. And by great, I mean you got to hit the wide open receivers.
Yeah. You could tell from early on today that the Cincinnati environment got to Dillon Gabriel. He was uncomfortable. There's no other way to put it. From the first offensive drive of the game, he looked uncomfortable. When that's the case, he does not play well. He wasn't confident as he has been the past few weeks. But that pitch, like when he just – I don't know what he was thinking on that. Like I really
throw it away, but it's backwards.
It's like you realize you're in your own end zone. Basically, you're 8 yards away from the end zone. Scoop score. It's a tie game. It would be 10-10. I think it was 10-3 at the time. Then Cincinnati's right back in, like right there. I mean, the game could be completely altered on that one play. Luckily, it rolled enough, and then when they started chasing it, they got it out of bounds, all of that. But it's just like you got to play confident. You got to control what you can control. Got to not let the pressure get to him. I know when we talked, me and you, Jay, to Anthony Mazzini, what he said was get pressure to Dillon Gabriel, make him uncomfortable. Cincinnati did that. It wasn't enough. Sooners defense was able to do their job on the other end, but Cincinnati's defense played really well on getting pressure to him and making him uncomfortable from really the first drive of the game.
Yeah, and speaking on him just being uncomfortable, that also causes him to hesitate if he sees someone open, especially 30, 40 yards down the field. He does not want to throw it because he's afraid he's going to overthrow him. His confidence is altered. And there was a couple plays where there was Stoops up the seam on a play. There was Anthony too on a play where he was open deep. So it's like those plays, he's just got to not be afraid. Like it's like he's scared to throw the interception in a way because I think he knows that just his confidence is going to be so altered, which just kind of just goes up to his head because he's got to know, hey, I'm the starting quarterback at the University of Oklahoma right now. If I make let's say one mistake with how good the defense is playing, it's not going to kill us. So maybe I need to have some guts and take the chance because he does not like to take the chance. And the play where Jaden Gibson in the corner of the end zone, Jay, I think you said it earlier, he should have just thrown the ball up to Jaden Gibson instead of trying to throw it to the corner where he can run and get it. Give your 6'5" wide receiver a chance. I can't understand the point of not taking a chance. That's the thing that makes me the most upset is if you have an overthrow or two a game, okay, it happens. Not every quarterback's going to be perfect all the time. But him not wanting to take the chance, him not wanting to have the guts sometimes to make the play or take the chance to make the play is what makes me upset. Because we've seen at times, especially versus TU, he's getting outside of the pocket, chucking the ball up and down the field like it was no one's business. No one cared. He could not be altered in his confidence. So he's just got to find this confidence, find that Gabriel swagger we saw in the first 3 games.
Well,
hey, he looked a lot better running the football today.
He did. And
he looked like a dog when he ran the ball.
And Brody, you're right. He looked a lot better. And I'm in no way saying he played a bad game.
Oh, he played a good game.
I thought he played a good game. But what I'm saying is that I think there is going to be a couple games he has to play great.
Oh, I agree. Got to play great in Dallas.
Dallas, he has to play a great game. I don't think they're going to beat them without a great game. And you know what? There's a good chance he can play a great game. I mean, one thing I saw today out of him that I really loved is coming out of halftime, I think it was, they ran that Freeman in motion play, and something was off timing, and he lit into Freeman. I mean, I thought that was pretty good of him showing some leadership, and then running the ball, like you said, Brody, he got in the end zone. That was a very tough run on that one to get in the end zone. Rouse helped him a little bit. But I think – and if you watch college football today, you're going to see a lot of quarterbacks that overthrow a wide-open receiver. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that's going to happen every once in a while, but you can't – when they are scoring plays like that, when they are touchdown plays, there were too many last year that either he overthrew and we dropped some, and they cost OU the game. I mean, they had 6 one-possession games last year. So, and then the fumble today in the red zone, that could have been in another game, that could have been horrible. So I'm just saying it was a good game. It wasn't great by any stretch of the imagination, but in 2 weeks, it's going to have to be great.
Yeah, that's really what worries me is, again, it was a ruckus environment. I was impressed with the Cincinnati fans. I did not expect it to be that loud for a 40,000-seat stadium. They had the place rocking from the TV broadcast, which maybe the audio, fan audio was a little higher than it should have been compared to the commentators, but just from reports from media members at the game, I mean, it sounds like the place was rocking. That's what worries me is he never got the chance last year to play in OU Texas. I think if he would have got that game, and it could have still been a 49-0 loss, but Dylan Gabriel just being able to play in that environment for one time before this year, I think it would make a big difference.
Yeah, but Hunter, here's the thing, and we talked about it before the season. OU right now has played 2 road games, but really only one because TU's not a road game. Their next true road game is not Texas. That's a half and half. It's neutral. Their next, I would say,
it's
rough.
Kansas.
What?
I said I would expect it to be in Lawrence. I expect them to be.
Lawrence is the next probably raucous, but guys, OU travels really good to Lawrence, first off.
So BYU maybe.
BYU, I mean, the schedule this year, guys, it could not set up any more perfectly for OU. I mean.
Well, in the Big 12, they were generous on that, but they've been sure to screw us over in other ways. Today we saw it with the no calls. The
missed wide receiver catch where he was out of bounds and they called it a catch.
Let's not even start on the referees.
The Farouk one, that was awful. That I don't understand how you can shove down a receiver into another defender in the end zone and there be no defensive pass interference.
Is there
a chance of making a catch?
Is it possible? I don't know. I haven't seen it yet this year. I haven't seen one flag, but is it possible that another team can hold? Because OU's defensive linemen have been held all year, and there's been not one flag.
I'm pretty sure they got
Adebawore getting a nice big hug.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Well, there's also a play where Trace Ford, he got hugged good. Stripling got hugged good on a play. Jonah Laulu, he was close to 3 or 4 sacks, it felt like. So it was just man, we're just going to have to fight through the refs all year. Point blank period, you're going to have to fight through the officiating. It's not going to go your way, but it didn't go our way really last season at all either. So we'll just see how this year goes. But, I think Oklahoma is maybe they are a lot farther ahead defensively and also offensively. I think this is kind of a game where you just needed to get over the hump, get this true road environment win. And I think, and also another thing that hasn't been talked about enough is how they responded from the adversity that they had, right? Especially whenever the offense was playing down, the defense bared down, was able to get stops, keep them in the game. And even whenever the defense it felt like maybe start to break some, they'd force a turnover, get a stop on 4th down, the offense would respond with some points. So, even though the game offensively as a whole wasn't the best, the defense and the offense really complemented each other very well.
Hunter, who was your the offensive and defensive MVP of the game?
Defensive, you got to go Danny Stutzman. I mean, It's been the same all year. Offensive, I'm going to go, I guess, Andrell Anthony. I mean, he had that 50-yard catch. He's a consistent, like, safety blanket, really, like, on third and somewhat long, like 3rd and 10s. They've been really loving throwing it to him just past the yardage marker to pick up the first down. He's really connected with Dylan Gabriel in that way. So I'm going to go with Andrell Anthony for this game.
Jackson, you agree, Danny? I mean, do we all agree Danny Stutzman on defense?
Yeah. Stutzman, I don't think there's much.
I will say, Deshaun McCullough, take away the one busted play. Thought he did really well at Cheetah.
He almost got an interception. I was like 12 or 13 feet up in the air. It looked like he got off the ground for that. It was.
Yeah, I mean, he had a good game, I think. And you know, I think it's crazy because I looked up one time coming out of a TV timeout, and I was like, "Is that Makari Vickers in the game?" And it was like early on.
It was
and
him.
He made the tackle.
Ty Walker.
He made the tackle.
Vickers is good.
Yeah.
And yeah, they play in so many guys, and it's really good to see.
I think BV said they played 30 guys on defense. 30.
Yeah. Josiah Wagner made his Sooner debut today, so he finally got in.
Sorry, I'm hot.
What's going on there?
Yeah,
it's hot out in the garage tonight.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that
it's hot.
Oh, go ahead, Brody. Go ahead.
Well, one thing me and Hunter talked about on the post game videos was they were playing a lot of Kendall Dolby at nickel when they would get in third downs. They would take Deshaun McCullough off the field and bring Kendall Dolby onto the field in place of him. And I was impressed with what Kendall Dolby did. I'll have to go back and rewatch
the game.
He looked really well. And I think we've all kind of thought nickel has been kind of the best fit for him because that's kind of what he was at NEO. He was more of a nickel. So I like the fact that they're utilizing him in the way they are.
Yeah, that's why they brought him in from NEO, like you said, to play nickel. And a guy that has experience it's JUCO ball, but it's still college experience. It's made the transition for him a lot easier.
Yeah, Jackson, give us a score update. You keep looking up there at the TV. Who's winning?
It's 31-31 LSU versus Arkansas.
Okay. So overtime?
No, it's in the fourth quarter.
Okay. Hey, one thing that I talked to Jeremy about this earlier, I think on a video is I think it's kind of, I wouldn't say unnoticed, but not talked about enough is, are we not used to seeing defensive backs get beat? I mean, the defensive backs on the deep balls, you can throw Kanai Walker, Gentry Williams, Woody Washington. Guys, the coverage is like elite. And it's Gentry and them are playing real tight coverage up front, and they're not getting beat. I mean, it's almost like a shock to me. I think, Brody, we were watching the game today, and I said, ooh, where's the safety behind Gentry? It's one-on-one. He's playing bump. Doesn't need the coverage behind him. I mean, and that makes a huge difference in Brent Venables' defense when you can now bring those safeties up and play in the run game. And look at their run defense, guys. Yeah. Cincinnati coming in averaging like 241. They were held at 140 or whatever it was. Emory Jones, maybe one run on 3rd and like 19.
He had that 20-yard run. Other than that, he had 14 attempts and 22 yards on all his other runs. That is good. And I remember you mentioned the Gentry Williams play, that one, because I remember which play you're talking about. On that play, they actually sent Gentry Williams on a blitz, and Key Lawrence rolled over and made the tackle to stop them on 3rd down. So they're just doing a lot more than what we saw last year. They were doing more, kind of. I liked what they did. The one play where Laulu had the TFL, or it was the sack, and Stripling was in there as well. They had, a different blitz. I mean, that was the type of blitzes we expected Venables to run.
Yeah, we talked about it with Anthony Mazzini, me and UJ, on Xavier Henderson. He's their leading receiver, was averaging 15 yards of reception coming into this game, well over 200 yards in the 3 games. He had 41 yards today. And of those 41, 22 were given to him as he was out of bounds, and the call somehow stood on the field. So a really good job. Back to the defensive backs. Woody Washington he's every bit of what we expected Woody Washington to be this year. Gentry Williams, I feel, has done a lot better than people expected when fall camp ended. Because there was kind of that question mark of, like Chris Plank said it, well, Woody's the starter on one end, but who's the starter on the other end? And then Kenai Walker's been great as well. It's just back to officiating. Like, I just don't get it. I wonder what's the strategy going to be for OU Texas, because I've
no
seen
flags called the whole game.
I've seen a lot of messages tonight that Texas has been getting the same terrible officiating from the Big 12 crew in Waco. So is it going to be just a free-for-all? Like, are we going to be able to do whatever we want and that go for both sides? Like, no holding, no pass interference? Like, the Big 12 needs to send out a memo for that game so that we can know how to properly prepare.
It'll probably be the best officiated game all year for OU and Texas. But here's the thing, and this is what bothers me about the officiating, is you cannot tell me that they haven't talked before the game about one thing in particular, and that is, if it's a close call it where it's benefiting the other team, because then when they go review it, it's too hard to overturn. Think about that 4th and whatever it was, and they got right on the yard line. If that was called the other way, it wouldn't have been reversed. Same with the catch. But I think they are like, hey, we're going to at least give them the benefit of a doubt. And then if it's too blatant, we can overturn it. But
they want Cincinnati to get that win so badly today.
Yeah, Brett Yormark was in attendance, obviously rooting for the Bearcats. The catch, though, I mean, the official couldn't even say it. He stumbled over his words because he knew what he was doing. It was the wrong call. I mean, you have to know. Like, they showed it pretty clear. You can see that toe be on the sideline, and they still somehow say call stands. I don't get it.
Well,
you know what's crazy?
It's like with just the officiating, as I said earlier, you're just going to have to find a way to fight through it. But, I felt like as a whole, just the game, I felt like the rest were pretty consistent, in which they allowed the DBs to play, except the Gentry Williams pass interference call in the first quarter, I believe. That was kind of a sketch call. I thought he got his head turned 2 times, actually, but they called it a pass interference call. But, I feel like overall, just this team as a whole, as a defense, is not going to get a lot of calls all year. But I think they've shown that they're going to be able to fight through adversity, and they're going to be able to make play after play after play.
Yeah. I want to say 2 more things on the defense. First of all, I think Gentry Williams will be a first-round draft pick. I just said it. Second of all, this needs to be mentioned. Reggie Grimes made a really nice play today, and he hasn't played too much. I like seeing him. He was a starter last year, and he comes in, and he made a good play on that 3rd down. And I'm just, glad to see him coming in late in the game and making a play.
Yeah, and one of the greatest plays I thought to watch today was P.J. Adebawore.
Number 34.
34. When he's lined up in defensive end, well, he made the hit that almost caused a fumble, but the one where he dropped into coverage and got the guy after 3 yards, did you see how quick he got out there? It was insane.
Dude, he's a freak.
He's a freak. And listen, he's going to be a freak. And I think it was Trace Ford on the Animal talking the other day, and he said, oh, he could be like top pick of the draft. I mean, he's that really good. But, hey, one thing that I thought today, and it's so encouraging if you're an OU fan, is, and maybe y'all thought the same thing. I mean, y'all can answer it. But when OU was up 10-6 and they went on that drive, before that drive, all I kept saying, I was saying it to Brody, if OU scores and goes up 17-6, it's ball game.
Yeah.
When was the last time you could say that as an OU fan? Hey, if they can get up 10 or 11 points, it's over. I mean,
you never could.
It's been a decade, Hunter, at least. I mean, maybe 2015. I don't know, 16.
Oh, so, even then.
I mean, it's just so encouraging.
If one drive stalls and you got to turn it over on downs, and then they're right back into it, because you never know on what type of defense you were going to get. And those past OU teams, they'd be great at times. Like 2015 had a lot of great moments, defensively, and also had a lot of bad moments. 16, 2017, and on and on and on. They all were great at times, other times just very, very bad.
Hey, one thing I want to bring up is I don't know if Brent Venables in Oklahoma have persuaded anyone more than they persuaded Urban Meyer today. What was it? You mentioned what did he say pregame? Because you mentioned
he said, Brody. He said,
and then I'll tell you what he said postgame.
Okay, he said that Brent Venables last year they had a bad season, one of the worst seasons in a long time, and he kept all the coaches. And they should have got rid of some coaches. Is basically what I was saying. I was like, 1 year in, okay. And then he said Brent Venables has too many fingers on the defense. Which let's not talk about fingers. You know what I mean, Urban Meyer. But he said that he's got too many fingers on the defense, and he needs to be the head coach, not the defensive coordinator.
And that's crazy because I listened to the post game, the Big Noon post game. And first of all, Mark Ingram, I don't even know what game he watched, but Urban Meyer, he said, yeah, Brent Venables, you can really tell he's starting to, really be involved in that defense. And that's one of the reasons I think this Oklahoma defense is back. So I don't know. Urban Meyer, either he was high or they really did some type of he liked what he saw today.
And don't quote me. It might not have been fingers. It might have been hands. I don't know. But it was one of the two. Okay. And he was saying how Brent Venables needs to be the head coach. Well, I'd rather have Brent Venables doing what he's doing right now because it's working.
Yep. I agree.
And his game management's been better.
I can't believe someone like Urban Meyer would say that. He was always very involved in play callings.
Well, what's the difference between offense and defense?
Yeah, I don't get it. Like
Lincoln Riley was an offensive caller.
Yeah, like if you're a head coach that was a talented coordinator before you were a head coach. I mean, Brent Venables is the best defensive coordinator of the 21st century. Like, it's not even close. Like,
go look at Clemson right now.
Yeah, Clemson's has 2 losses in September, 2 years removed from Brent Venables being their defensive coordinator. You saw the drop off when he left OU. It got very bad. Like, it's just I don't get how you can say he shouldn't be involved in that. Like,
yeah. Well,
Urban Meyer next head coach at Oklahoma State University.
Well, something that I noticed from the defense was from a specific player and a guy that I felt like finally had his game, maybe his best game as a Sooner, but that was Rondell Bothroyd. I felt like he was in the backfield a lot of plays. He set the edge very, very well a lot of the game. I believe, did he have a sack or not?
He had the sack.
While getting held.
He got held.
While getting held, yeah.
It wasn't just a hold. It was a hold, all caps. I mean, that.
And then they somehow found Kendall Dolby to be in the neutral zone when he was.
That was weird.
He was lined up.
Yeah.
I don't get how something like that. Usually when a call like that is made, the play is blown dead. Like, it's not going to be a free play with something like that because it's considered an advantage that could be unsafe for the offense. I don't get how you wait. And it was just coincidentally thrown as Rondell Bothroyd was getting held. They throw the flag, so you're like, okay, it's 4th down. It's not going to matter. You decline it. Bothroyd got the sack while getting held, and then somehow Kendall Dolby's lined up in the neutral zone.
It made sense.
It didn't. But hey, it's a victory for OU, 20-6. They are 4-0. Iowa State coming into town, which we cannot listen. It's 1-0 every week, period. So you cannot overlook Iowa State. Matt Campbell's kind of had – I wouldn't say had OU's number because OU's won the games a lot of times, but he usually plays a pretty good game plan. So
this is a lot.
But that's because Lincoln Riley was the play caller and he couldn't call a game against the 335 or whatever it was.
I know. They should dominate Iowa State.
It's a lot different of an Iowa State team. Like, they're without their starting quarterback because of the gambling infractions. Like, Iowa State is not the same Iowa State we saw.
I agree.
Brock Purdy.
I agree.
Montgomery.
Hey, what's the spread going to be on Bedlam? Because I saw a tweet about that, and they said 28 is a very generous spread on that game.
Oklahoma
half,
State
maybe.
awful.
They might not win another game the rest of the year.
Are their fans going to start boycotting?
I saw that on yesterday.
Hey,
I hope
you know what's bad?
It's just like,
You know what's bad?
what?
This is the worst time in the history of Oklahoma State football to be going this direction.
Yeah,
You had the Big 12 changing over where you could have
they
been in
could
the top
win the
of this
king of
league
the
and-
conference.
Yeah, and now it's going south. But hey,
What?
talking about national games,
How about
man,
Colorado?
what a slate today! And hey, Colorado got it handed to him big time. And hey,
Y'all
Deion,
better get him now. Y'all better get him now, he
no,
says.
that's what I was going to say. Is Deion? I heard his post-game comments about great coaching by Lanning and all that. But the one thing that got to me is when he said, "You better get me now. You better get me now." Is it him or is it Colorado? Because he said, "You better get me now." It's like, come on, dude. It's a team thing.
Well,
He's
he's saying that Dion was saying that they're not about beating. They don't want Colorado to lose. They want him to lose. So I think that's what the me got.
Well, Oregon's really good, guys.
Yeah, and I mean, I look at Deion Sanders' post-game tweet. It's hard to be super negative about him after what he said on Twitter today. So
yeah, he's a good guy.
I got Colorado over USC.
Yeah, I still think I wish Travis Hunter could play in that game. I think that would be
he's
big
going to be on
difference.
Twitch.
He's going to be playing
He
NBA
doesn't
during
play
the
on
game.
Twitch, Jay. Come on now. That's how we know you're very out of the loop in pop culture, man.
He was on his Twitch today.
Not on.
It was during the game while his team was playing. I don't understand.
Yeah.
I mean, they're down 35-0. I don't really blame them.
Yeah.
Hey, another big game
feels
today.
like a time.
But do you guys know like when the stream got started? At what point in the game that
I
happened?
don't know. Hey, another big game today. Clemson lost.
They should have.
Hey, you have one job to do. Make a 26-yard field goal and you win that game probably. You just couldn't do it.
Neither could Cincinnati. I mean, they couldn't hit a 20-yard field goal either.
Well, that's true. That was a
He
shame.
made a 55-yarder. So
Somehow.
Every kicker against Oklahoma from 50-plus nails it every single time.
Yeah.
Hey, but who was today, as far as nationally, who's the team that you think is the biggest winner of the day?
Oregon.
I would see
they were favored by 20.
Yeah, like you look at the spread, like they were very favored in that game.
To me, it's Arkansas if they pull this off.
Actually, I would say
game's up too. So
it is
you could
Washington State and Cameron Ward. Cameron Ward at Washington State is a baller. He needs to be in Heisman contention. I don't know if y'all have watched him, but that dude is.
I have not.
The biggest winner is not Arkansas. You're absolutely.
If they win at LSU,
Arkansas lost by 3.
They lost, so never mind.
Arkansas, they're going to lose about 7 games this year. I don't know what your obsession is with Sam Pittman. Maybe it's that picture that we all saw on Twitter. Maybe that's where it's coming from.
Jay, I thought you hated Arkansas.
But
so who's the biggest winner of the day?
The biggest winner is Notre Dame if they win.
Yeah, Notre Dame's up there. I guess of the completed game, I'm going to go Jalen Milroe. Got the win for Bama.
That's a good one.
I mean, last week he got benched. They went with the 2 other quarterbacks, almost lose to South Florida. Then it's made Jalen Milroe the starter for the rest of the year. No one thought Bama was going to win that. That was a game that a lot of people were going hotty-toddy. Lane Kiffin going to pull off the win in Tuscaloosa. Jalen Milroe got it done for the Crimson Tide. So still not a great Alabama team, but to get the win against a pretty good Ole Miss team after the past few weeks, getting benched, all of that is very impressive for Milroe.
So, I think all of us could agree that Oklahoma State may be the biggest loser of the week. Is it them or Colorado?
Last 2 weeks.
Past 2 weeks.
I think Clemson's up there.
Well, they played Florida State. He's one of the best teams in the country.
Yeah, but you know what? You're Clemson.
Sure. Well, they've kind of fell off after Brent Venables left.
Yeah. So last I saw, Kansas State and UCF was in a shootout in the second quarter. I don't know what the score is now.
There's about to be a shootout here at 9:30. USC playing. You know.
Hey, the biggest winner of the day.
Who are they
Big 12.
playing?
Good gosh, did you hear that thunder? My word.
Yeah,
Oh my gosh.
dude. Yeah.
Okay, hey, we got storms rolling in.
Somebody
Hey,
clip that.
Kansas, biggest winner of the day. That's another good win for Kansas, guys. Over BYU.
Hey, I think
Kansas,
they're 4-0 for the second straight year, the first time since 1913 through
They're-
19.
they're not bad. Their
No.
defense still needs work, but
But their
Lance
QB.
Leipold, next Oklahoma State head coach.
no, if I'm Michigan State, I'm going after Leipold.
Yeah. I don't know if he'll leave. I mean, he's building something really good at Kansas. You got to like what they're doing. Kansas State is
They're
up by
getting new
7.
football facilities too soon at Kansas. So
Yeah, Kansas State is up by 7, 31-24, with like a minute left in the third quarter over UCF right now.
Did Will Howard play?
no, actually, I don't know.
He has 231 yards and an interception.
Sheesh.
All right.
We're not playing them.
Well,
Hey,
DJ Giddens rushed for 107.
I would not want to play against Kansas State again. I would not want to play.
it's about time to turn on Fox and watch USC give up 300.
That's right.
Yards against
So-
Arizona State's backup.
Hey, everybody, if you haven't subscribed, subscribe to the channel. Just click the button. That's all it takes. A simple click. Please do. We're having a lot of content this week leading up to the Iowa State game. I'm super pumped for a night game, tailgating all day long in Norman on Lindsay
Blowout.
Street. Night game. Get the lights going. It's going to be a great atmosphere before they head off to the Cotton Bowl. So,
Yeah,
guys,
parents looking in Norman too. So
Parents Weekend should be a great weekend, man. Hey, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Great day to be a Sooner fan, 4-0. Great defensive effort, team effort. Let's get it. Have a good week, guys. Boomer.